Today we are going to learn how to create a circular weaving inspired by an artist named Vasily Kandinsky. Kandinsky was very connected to the idea of color. He was a synesthete, meaning that he could hear color and see sounds, and he believed that color was the heart and soul of every painting. Kandinsky created many beautiful and colorful works of art. He loved color so much that he practiced different color combinations next to each other using many concentric circles. Concentric circles are circles that multiply around the same center. His concentric circle painting was just a practice so that he could look at different color combinations, but it ended up becoming one of his most famous works of art. Today, we will be using lots of beautiful colors inspired by Kandinsky. The first step in our circular weaving is to paint our paper plate with concentric circles. Those will become the base of our weaving, also known as the loom. You will need one paper plate, a paintbrush, 3 to 4 colors of paint, and some water to wash your brush. Keep your circle painting simple. We will be adding details a little bit later. Make sure to wash your brush in between painting each colored circle. Start with a small circle in the center of your plate and begin to add more circles surrounding it, each time being sure to switch colors. When you have finished painting your plate, you are done with step number 1. You will need to let your plate dry completely before moving on to step number 2. Step number 2 is to start adding patterns and smaller details on top of your painted plate. We will be using colored Sharpies to add these details. If you would rather use paint to add your designs, that is also a choice. A pattern is described as a repeated decorative design. You can add shapes, lines, abstract forms, etc. around each circle to make it unique and your own. Once your plate is finished, it is time to turn it into a loom. Flip your plate over, grab a loom template, and place it onto the back of your plate. There are 19 black lines on the template. You will need a black Sharpie to draw a line for each notch. Be sure to hold your template in the same spot the entire time and count to make sure you only have 19 lines drawn on your own plate. Remove the template and use your scissors to cut a small slit on top of each black line that you drew. Now it is time to add the warp string to our loom. The warp string is the string that stretches across our loom and allows us to weave another piece of yarn through it. Start by placing the tail end of your yarn in any notch. There should be a short tail about the length of your finger in the back while the rest of the yarn hangs loose and free in the front. Next, bring the length of yarn down, dividing the plate in half. There should be 8 notches on one side and 9 on the other. Bring your yarn under the plate and then up through the next notch on the side of your plate that has 9 empty spaces. Then stretch it across your plate to create an X and place it in the notch directly across from it. Keep doing that exact same thing in the same direction the whole time until there are no notches left. You will have the end of your yarn in a notch, but nowhere for it to go. This will be the first piece of yarn that we use for the weaving. Take the end of your yarn that's hanging in the notch and look right next door to its neighbor. The end of the yarn will dive under his neighbor and then will go up over the top of the one next to that. Keep going in an over and under motion for a few times. Then pull the yarn tight to the center. You don't have to make it insanely tight, just enough to start filling in the circle. Continue with the over-under pattern until your string is as long as your fist. You can then get a new piece of string in a different color and tie it to the old string with a double knot and continue your weaving. Each time you pull your yarn tight, look to the part of your warp that you had just woven on. If your string has gone under the warp, then the next time you go, it should go over. You can also choose to add some beads into your weaving. Every so often, choose a bead and string it onto the piece of yarn that you're weaving with. Then, continue to weave as normal. When you have finished your weaving, you can take the end of your yarn and double knot it around the warp string. Then, with the extra, you can just tuck it back behind your weaving. I hope you have enjoyed learning about the artist Kandinsky, and I am sure that you will all create some beautiful weavings. Have fun!